Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. And we are going to have some interesting information coming to you today. But as we tape this, we are actually preceding a formal announcement. So we won't be airing this for a couple of days. And when you do hear it, you'll hopefully understand a little bit more behind what the announcement is that Humble will have something to do with. But I'm joined with Dan, and Dan is one of two co-founders of what we will be talking about today, and it is actually kind of a interesting way to utilize NFTs in a clever format. And Dan, with that, why don't you tell us as much as you can at this point? Tell us what it is you're doing with NFTs.
Sure. And thanks so much for having me and letting me come on the platform. So I have a partner and his name is Ryan, and like Terry said, my name is Dan. We've created a brand that is called Blocktions, and we are essentially trying to come up with creative ways for people to interact with NFTs or create blockchain-based auctions. So that's where the name comes from, as corny as it is. So what we've done here is launched a very fun new way that we've coined competitive collecting, and we've actually submitted a copyright for that as a way to framework the collection of NFTs. So this first edition that we've come out with is an entire deck of NFT playing cards. So the deck is going to have 52 normal cards in it, as well as 3 jokers. We've created a framework of rules and participation where you can try to come up with the best strategy to come up with the best hand and win prizes. And so that's our first inaugural game that we're launching. And from then on, we hope to expand to other type of card games, board games, actual digital platforms where we can collaborate with new coders, developers, and especially artists going forward from there. But that's the brand, and that's our first project, kind of an overarching view of it.
So over your shoulder now, I'm showing just some of the couple of designs. We got the 2 of hearts. We have, go back and we'll say the 5 of clubs. And then here is the Jack of hearts.
Sure.
So you had all of these designed, and you would be having, as you go forward then, I guess, is it that people would be gathering the different cards, one NFT at a time, and then buying them? Can you go into a little bit more? Hopefully you can explain it without giving away something you're not supposed to.
No, that's absolutely fine. So the exciting thing about our project was that people don't need any additional technology. They don't need any special websites to go to other than the NFT marketplace. And so we've partnered with Humble and their NFT gallery, and that's where we're launching the project. But as far as the framework goes, it is just we're going to shuffle the deck. We're going to have printed copies of the entire deck, and we're going to essentially release them one at a time. And on this version, collectors can try to outbid or jump on quickly and buy the NFT in hopes of either collecting the best hand that they can, or maybe flipping it and trading it to someone down the road. And so it's going to take place over about 2 months, 55 cards total and 1 per day. So it should be from start to finish about 60 days if we're going to rotate a little bit and have a little bit of a trading period there at the end. But it's just a fun way to collect and possibly trade, as opposed to a lot of these projects that you see. They say, hey, this NFT is rare or this NFT is beautiful, and I'm just going to buy it, and hopefully it increases in value and I can trade it later on. We've essentially come up with a fun, competitive collecting way to come in with a strategy and either increase the value or hold it and come up and gain utility for future projects. So not to jump too far ahead, but if that makes sense from this initial game.
Well, I was just thinking as you were talking, how I think your concept could be applied to a number of different, games. You could even conceivably, you could even create your own, design your own game. But if someone, let's say, wanted to play, I don't know, Monopoly with others online, I don't know what legalities Parker Brothers or whoever has the Monopoly
Sure.
game registered, but if one could do deals, I suppose you could do a game like Monopoly or some other game, Shoots and Ladders or whatever, or even do something in conjunction with the NFL or maybe somebody like Budweiser, where it's you're having people buy the Budweiser Queen of Hearts or something.
That is exciting. We have reached out to other companies to try to get sponsorships and as a marketing proposal for them to have their own brand on a deck of cards and a link to this NFT use case. But this is kind of more of a proof of concept, this first project that we're releasing, and we've got ideas and plans for the future to expand. Um, and it's really just exciting. The NFT space as a whole has so much potential for creativity and innovation and entrepreneurship that we thought we came up with a unique, fun idea and thought we could try to take advantage of it.
And you mentioned that you went out to Humble, and if you can talk about that a bit, and if I'm asking you something you can't talk about, then don't talk about it. But you reached out to them, you were able to get through, and what kind of reaction did you get from Humble?
Well, it was really exciting. We came up with the idea and actually researched. We joined a bunch of different groups to see how other projects do their own launches, and we found that a lot of it is done internally, and so they have coders who are able to actually create their own websites and minting processes, and then they just sell it through themselves, and it's resold through a secondary marketplace like OpenSea. We looked into the various marketplaces that are out there, and we ended up choosing Humble because they've got a really unique white glove service where they're trying to package all of these applications into one website where a standard creator like us can just jump on and launch a project with all the same technologies that other people have to build from the ground up. So when we first came to them with just the general idea, we received some really great feedback that they thought it was unique and they wanted it on their marketplace. But they had us hold off until some new features are coming, and I think we could talk about it because it's public information that they're developing side chains and bridges in order to reduce gas fees by up to 98%. And so we're waiting for that version of the marketplace so that people aren't burdened down with the exorbitant gas fees to both mint, buy, or trade or sell the NFTs that we're releasing, as well as it'll cost us a lot more, or a lot less to give airdrops, which is essentially sending out NFTs as prizes. Um, there's also the verified by blocks, which was huge for us because we were worried that if we tried to launch on a secondary marketplace, that someone could copy the NFT and try to submit it for the prizes that we'll be providing. And so it'll be super easy for us to just look at the NFT that they're showing us and say, well, it wasn't verified by blocks, so we can't give you the prize because it didn't come directly from us.
Interesting. And you kind of said there's going to be some prize associated with the game, I guess, for the winners or something, which is one of the things I was about to ask. So there will be that. It's interesting how when one invent, I mean you, but when somebody invents something, how someone else, in this case you and your partner Ryan, can take that and go, what can we do with this? And you come up with something brand new and creative. And I love that part of entrepreneurship that, when someone creates the idea of NFTs and all, they weren't even thinking about what you're thinking about. And it really goes to expose how a lot of different creative people can build upon the building blocks of what someone else initially came out with. It's just like with the phone. Surely Steve Jobs didn't anticipate every single successful app that could be created for the iPhone. He just made the platform that there could be apps created, and you're kind of doing that in conjunction with Humble at this time.
That's the hope and the plan, and who knows, maybe this will branch out into further creations and further opportunities for collaborations or people to build off of our idea. So it really is cool, and that's, not to get political for your channel, but the great thing about capitalism and the
No, we're all very much in favor of capitalism here.
Absolutely, yeah. But it absolutely just it gives way for creativity and for people to innovate and come up with ideas, even as small as this one. And obviously, we hope it continues and grows, which would increase the value of this first round of NFTs that we have, but also potentially give a use case for Humble or other creators to come up with on their own and just further society.
I think one of the things, as you said, and I think why this is clever, is because, as you said, up to now, people might create some artwork and think, well, buy it as an NFT with the hope that it goes up in value, as if you're buying an oil painting. And
Sure.
that has worked. There's some oil paintings that have gone up, a number, different artists go up in value. And so that is one application. But I think you're creating a demand for the NFT, not that it's, and again, let me just bring that up as an example. You're creating a demand for that instead of saying necessarily that it's a piece of art. It is design. You guys had these design, but you're not going to be hanging it or buying it for that purpose. You're creating another purpose. And that's where I think, well, that's very clever. Plus, then I think with a little more brainstorming, you and Ryan could probably come out with a number of other different applications or so much of this too. I think the challenges that in the world of marketing, which I could see a lot of applications here, so many of the marketing people, as in every period where we have radical change, and you go and you're dealing, let's say, with the marketing people, they're attuned, maybe they learned about marketing through newspaper ads or just radio ads, and they're not up to speed on what you're talking about, how this could be. And by the way, I meant to say, when we talk, folks, if you don't know about gas fees are just fees. It's a charge. I don't know why people created the word gas fees in there, but it's a fee for an NFT. And so Humble is working to bring those fees down dramatically. And thus, that is what you're working on. And that should be coming along hopefully sooner rather than later is what we're hoping for. Right? And
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
that's kind of the nature of why, as you and I are talking about this, when the public sees this, we will have sat on this video for a little bit because you also want to have an announcement in conjunction with Humble.
Sure. We're planning on announcing, and by the time we release this, it should be out there, that we have launched with Humble, and that they're actually going to be providing some of the prizes that you mentioned, just more of really unique kind of prizes that only they can provide, such as some signed merchandise, possibly some entrance into events in the future. And you talk about creating a demand. So the really cool thing about NFTs is not just the artwork, which is obviously beautiful, but is the utility that they can provide. And so because it's on the blockchain and it's immutable, it's unchangeable, and people can verify that someone holds that NFT, then what you can do is come up with a reward system or a reason to hold that NFT for longer, and that, of course, increases value over time. And so one of the things that we're hoping to provide is the winners of the competition will get a special NFT, and that will itself enable the collector, the holder, to participate in special ways with our own collections in the future, or possibly gain VIP entrance into an event hosted by ourselves or with our partners. And that's the biggest, I think, reason, the biggest demand that you can create is around the utility. So you talked about the artwork. When we first launched this project, and Ryan, the other co-founder, he created all of these by hand. So he designed them, and obviously I gave my opinions and help, but you don't want me drawing these things. He created a unique suit and a unique design on each of the cards, and but what we really wanted to do was still have a relatable deck that is relatable to a traditional deck of cards. So you have the numbered suits increasing, and you have the jacks and the queens and the kings. But in the future, we're hoping to get kind of really more fun and creative and crazy with it, with collaborations with photographers. We could have a photography deck, a foreign art deck, holographic or 3D designs. But we decided to go with this more traditional framework just to launch it and to actually try to sell our physical copies of the deck of cards.
The name of the company, how do you pronounce it?
Blocktions. So
Blocktions.
blockchain-based auctions.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear. Blockchain-based auctions. So Blocktions. Well, it sounds interesting, to say the least. You know, I'm reminded, I think it was a few years ago, that McDonald's, I believe, had a game going on. And there's two parts of this story. One was that if you got the right piece, then you won a phenomenal dollar amount of a prize. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I don't know if it was $1 million or $100,000. But the point is, if you had the piece that was the missing piece, it was really worth something. So obviously, if you had a similar approach here, there is an incentive to collect these things and intermediate prizes along the way. The other thing is, they may have even made a movie about this, I'm not sure, but there was someone on the inside of the company, as I recall the story, and I don't mean to pick on them, but who was taking advantage of their insider knowledge and being able to get like a piece or something. I don't remember all the details, but the point is that you brought up that with the blocks, it can't be copied like that. It's every piece, every key piece would be trackable, and you can absolutely say that this is the person that purchased the right piece, and it can't be copied and counterfeited, I should say.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great example.
Which is why I think it opens a door to a whole lot of different companies who might have said, we're not going to do what happened to McDonald's, in the past, because that was a problem, and that problem now has been solved in the new world. So you can see where there was a desire, a demand in the past to do that and to create a buzz about whoever the company is that's behind this. So I could really see the potential of what you're talking about here could be enormous and global as far as helping others to build a brand name and to get a buzz going about whatever it is. Brian Foote with Humble has talked about NFTs and being able to working with movies and people buying the quotes or imagery. By the same token, and any movie coming out, I could see, might be able to have some kind of a participation game going on. If not every movie, a number of them, let's say, that I could see people might be knocking on your door and going, how can we do this for the latest Robert De Niro movie or something?
That's a brilliant idea you just came up with.
It's
Have like an
copyrighted.
interactive. There you go. Yeah. What's this dated at? But you make a good point. I mean,
Well,
that's
you can
just
almost imagine the Godfather game or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some game out there like that. But you can imagine where you could take something like, let's say, the Godfather just came out and you have a game about it, and try to deliver the cannoli without your guy getting whacked or something. So.
even just even just the creative royalty potential that are out there for NFTs. So if someone was to play a movie and they do it online, it immediately disperses royalties to the creators and the investors in that movie. Is the potential is just really huge.
Well, it really is. And to me, it's almost like someone invented the printing press, that now you could have newspapers and then you could have newspaper ads. This is a new technology that can't be counterfeited, as we've talked about. And so it opens up the door for any number of applications that could be applied to what I would say is a new world of marketing, where you can do it in conjunction with whether it's movie studios, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, etc. There's all kinds of applications here. And it's pretty exciting that you're taking the initial steps here and that you're connecting with Humble to do it. I would also say, putting my Papa Humble hat on for a moment, and I just throw it out that, folks, this is why when we talk about Humble and they go, well, it's down to the pennies, it's only, whatever. I understand the grumbling, but it's so hard to value this company, because when you go forward and you look at the various ways, the commercial avenues that are available to Humble, that probably 99% of the people out there have never even conceived of, that they would eat. Oh, I didn't know Humble was going to get into X. Well, this is the point here. This is like throwing grass seed out on the back lawn. There's so many different things that are going to grow from that. And that's what Humble is. And I think in a way, that's what you guys are working on, you and Ryan, in that you're taking a format, you're taking, and then all you got to do is change it, whether it's a card game or a movie, as we talked about, or something else,
Yeah.
So
I think
fascinating.
that's what really excited us about the NFT gallery themselves, is their white glove service. I know I mentioned it before, but they're creating the opportunity for people to come in with little to no experience and say, hey, I have this idea, or I have this movie that I want cut up, or I have this beautiful song that I've created. How can I get this established on the blockchain? And Humble's creating, I think, a really user-friendly and very lucrative product for people to use, and that's just going to bring in traffic and awareness to their other products, of course, as well.
Well, and you talked about the marketplace, and I will say, I've talked about, I'm going to say, the NFTs, of course, and the ticketing. We haven't talked a whole lot about the marketplace, but that, I think, is another avenue that where Brian Foots talked about it. But we're so new into the Humble story. We're just at about 1 year old, and they had to start from basically scratch about 13 months ago, that we really just haven't allowed some of these to come and develop, and they're going to get to it. But I think Brian went out after with tickets, some of the low-hanging fruit, that he didn't have to reinvent the wheel with tickets. He just had to find a ticketing company. So we're going to get, in the next month, the initial revenues on Humble, which I know it's not your company, that's Brian's company and all, but we're going to hear from the initial revenue numbers on the fourth quarter of the very first fourth quarter in the history of Humble. And that, because they came out with ticketing on the app, they came out with NFTs on the app, just like days before the third quarter ended. This is the first quarter where we're going to have some business lines open that we could actually look at. And then we'll look at the first quarter of 2022, which we won't get in probably till the middle of May or so. But then we'll have 2 quarters back to back that we can look at and see how our revenue's growing. Your story will come out, and that is just another exciting aspect that predominantly that's you and Ryan's thing. But the way that Humble is partnering with you, I think, is also very encouraging for Humble investors, because they can see that Brian Foote, the CEO, is not sitting there with blinders on saying, no, if I didn't think about it, I'm not going to do it. No, he's open to ideas, and I'm happy to know that you and Ryan were able to reach out to Humble, and they were willing to listen to you, number one, and number two, then said, hey, this is a pretty good idea.
Oh yeah, they were super friendly and welcoming and agreeable, and even gave us feedback and helped us change not even this edition, but plans for the future. So it's really exciting, and they're just a great group of people. We haven't been lucky enough to talk to Mr. Foote himself, but the people in charge of the marketplace and some business developers have been just very helpful, and very exciting stuff is coming.
Before we close out, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
Plowed the field, huh?
In a roundabout way, but again, thanks for having me on and letting us pitch the project and the plans going forward.
Well, it's exciting. I think we're going to have a whole new chapter in the long history of free enterprise and capitalism. I hope you are richly rewarded, and as you are announcing it, maybe we can follow up with you again and get a little more details that we couldn't get into here.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to be announcing. We've got some milestone prizes, like you talked about, along the way, as well as the final prizes that we'll release. And obviously, we're providing most of the prizes ourselves, but just because we're able to partner with Humble, they were able to throw in a little bit here and there. There's some other announcements coming, and so definitely can talk about it, or feel free to follow us on Twitter at Blocktions, just at Blocktions on Twitter.
And we should add
our website, blocktions.com.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that we should add, you're going to have a website, you're just still making some final changes to it.
It is, yep, it's up and running now. You can definitely go there to get some information if you want, but we are making some changes there. If you want to know about actually participating in the game itself, if you want to earn the prizes, you'll need to join our Discord, which is just a social community for chatting and verification, and we have a lot more info there.
And they just type in what, Blockton? How do they find your Discord?
I would go to either the website, and there's a link there, or the Twitter, and there's a invite link in our profile.
And say again, your Twitter handle is what?
At Blocktions. So BLOCKTIONS.
Great. All right. Well, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.